our principal speaker of the day, Sergeant John Giasulo, United States Army. Allow me to read John's bio, and as you hear it, I invite you to reflect on what you're hearing, because it is the embodiment of the citizen soldier. John Giasulo's military career began when he joined the United States Army in 2006 after graduating from Billerica Memorial High School. After initial basic training in Fort Knox in Kentucky, John was sent to Fort Sam Houston for advanced individual training in order to become a combat medic. Upon completion of his training in 2007, Sergeant Giasulo was assigned to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to a light reconnaissance company as part of the 4th Battalion, 506th Parachute Infantry Division, 101st Airborne. His deployments included 2 combat tours in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and he served as a line medic for Charlie Company Parachute Infantry Regiment. He conducted numerous combat operations throughout eastern Afghanistan along the Pakistan border in order to disrupt and to dismantle the Taliban and Haqqani terrorist networks. On the 7th of July, 2008, while he was conducting combat operations in eastern Afghanistan, an Afghan National Army Humvee struck an improvised explosive device, and that device destroyed the vehicle and blew it off the road. After the initial blast, Sergeant Giasulo left the safety of his own vehicle, secured his aid bag, and sprinted over 100 meters to where the destroyed vehicle lay. Exposing himself to enemy small arms fire multiple times and being completely separated from the rest of his unit, Sergeant Giasulo immediately began rendering life-saving aid to the wounded Afghans, and he returned fire on enemy positions. After the convoy was able to establish fighting positions, Sergeant Giasulo extricated the casualties from the destroyed vehicle and moved 3 survivors back up onto the road to begin coordinating an evacuation of the casualties. At this time, a second IED was detonated, and that left Sergeant Giasulo and others wounded on the road. Despite his injuries, Sergeant Giasulo placed the needs of others above his own as he continued to treat the wounded, and he stayed with his men until the mission was complete. As Bill said, for his actions and valor that day, Sergeant Giasulo was awarded the Silver Star and the Purple Heart. Sergeant Giasulo has had a very successful career in the Army, and it lasted for nearly 8 years. His awards and decorations are many, and they include the following: 4 Army Achievement Medals, 4 Army Commendation Medals, 2 Good Conduct Medals, the Silver Star for Valor, and the Purple Heart for wounds sustained in action. Sergeant Giasulo is a graduate of the Army Pathfinder School and the Air Assault School. He's also the Distinguished Honor Graduate of the United States Marine Corps Mountain Warfare School, and he was selected as the 101st Airborne's NCO of the Year after an extremely rigorous and competitive selection process. Now for his final challenge, Sergeant Giasulo successfully completed the Army M6 nursing program. After retiring from active duty, Sergeant Giasulo began working on his lifelong dream of becoming a firefighter. He began his career in Ludlow, Massachusetts, with the fire department there as a firefighter paramedic. He later attended the Massachusetts Fire Academy. He was selected as the Distinguished Honor Graduate. In 2000, John transferred to the Hingham Fire Department, where he is presently assigned to Station 3, assuming collateral duties as a department mechanic, and is a member of the Plymouth County Technical Rescue Team. John earned his associate degree in fire safety and technology from Springfield Technical Community College and his bachelor's degree in fire science from Anna Maria College. Sergeant John Giusulo Jr. lives in Pembroke. He lives there with his wife Sarah and their 3 children, Riley, who's 12, Danny, who's 4, and Tommy, who's 2. Ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is to invite forward Sergeant John Giusulo Jr., our featured speaker, to make remarks to those assembled here in honor of our nation's veterans.
Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. I am honored and humbled to be here today, representing my brother and sister veterans. I would like to thank our distinguished guests in attendance. Thank you for your support of our veterans. I would also like to take a moment to thank my family for being here today, and thank you for your never-ending support. Of all the accomplishments written in that short biography about me, I think the greatest of all is just being a dad. Thank you. So here I am. My name is John Giusulo. I'm a firefighter paramedic here in Hingham, Massachusetts, and I've had the pleasure of serving my country and my community over the last 15 or so years. Unfortunately for all of you, I'm the guy they picked to deliver the speech on Veterans Day. I'm told it was between me and an Air Force guy, and I gotta tell you, it feels pretty good to get a win right now. I apologize. I did have to throw at least one Air Force joke out there today. But if you've ever stepped foot in combat, you know that there is no more reassuring feeling in this world than when a couple F-15s or A-10s come on station. So, from a guy on the ground, thank you for owning the sky, gentlemen. If I can be honest with you all, I really did not want to give this speech. I don't really like talking about myself or my service these days. I really didn't feel like it was my place to be up here representing us. But this day is too important, and this day is not about me. It's about all of us collectively, and the sacrifices men and women like us have made for centuries. Veterans Day initially commemorated the end of the fighting of World War I, which took place in the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. Originally known as Armistice Day, it was meant to be a celebration due to the conclusion of the war to end wars, World War I. In 1954, following World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day in honor of all those that have served. And so today, and every November 11th, we gather to honor all those that have served our country. A veteran could simply be described as someone that has served in the military, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. It's an oversimplification that does not adequately describe the sacrifices that go into being a part of the military. What it means to me is that at one point in your life, you wrote out a blank check to the U.S. government for any amount up to and including your life. Make no mistake about it, it takes courage to put your name on that contract. No matter what branch you joined or what your MOS was, it is irrelevant. It takes a lot of nerve to raise your hand and put that uniform on. When I look back now as a more mature man, a father of 3 children, a husband, I honestly don't know how I did it. It's amazing how carefree and naive you can be at 19 years old. I knew from an early age that the military would be a part of my life. My stepfather Jason and Uncle Jimmy were Marines. I had 4 other cousins who were also Marines, and my grandfather was a Royal Scots Dragoon in the 50s. I was the smartest out of all of them, so I joined the Army. And I'm proud to say most of us are also firefighters in the Commonwealth today. So this is essentially our family's business. Our family is intimately familiar with the lifestyle and sacrifices that go with joining the military, and I would like to take a moment to recognize all our families, especially our Gold Star families in attendance, and loved ones who have supported us on these endeavors. As a father myself now, I finally understand your worries, and I'm sorry for stressing you out so much, Mom. It was not until I watched the Afghan withdrawal unfold that I really wrapped my head around just how much our veterans sacrifice. When you're a 20-year-old kid in Afghanistan, you can't really understand it because your only focus is the mission in front of you and surviving. Reflecting on all of it now brought up a lot of emotions for me. I was angry, I was upset, but I wasn't surprised. Even 20-year-old me knew we weren't fixing this place. I found myself Googling how to re-enlist in the Army. I had the desire to help, but it was not my mission anymore. Watching the constant coverage and seeing the images coming out of Kabul, I was completely amazed at just how much our veterans are willing to give up protecting America's interests in people they don't even know. Watching the evacuation, I knew people were going to get hurt. There was too many civilians to sort through, not enough standoff or personnel, they were too exposed, and the collapse of the entire country was taking place all around them. They were handed an insurmountable task, yet they held the line. They kept the only evacuation route out of Afghanistan open, and they pulled off one of the most successful airlifts of all time. The number of evacuees stands at around 85,000 people. That's an astonishing figure. 13 of them paid with their lives, along with thousands of others who died in over 20 years of fighting. They made the ultimate sacrifice so that our Afghan allies and partners had a chance at freedom. If you are looking for role models in this country, then look no further than those 13 men and women and the countless others who participated in this mission. It was not a bunch of celebrities or athletes standing on the walls deciding who could get through and who has to stay behind. It was a bunch of 20-something-year-old kids from every corner of our country, some of which were not even alive during 9/11. Yet there they were in a foreign land trying to save civilians from a life under Taliban rule or grant them their chance at freedom. If you have watched the news much lately, you've probably seen some talking head up there telling you how bad America is, and I honestly have to laugh at them. I know we have our faults, we truly do, but if not here, where? Where else can we go? Where else in this world will you find people so willing to go into harm's way for the sake of others? When I hear people talk down about this country or its people, it bothers me. I look no further than our military and veteran populations, the silent professionals who have carried freedom on their backs for centuries. They represent the best of America and our ideals. When there is a crisis on this planet and sending thoughts and prayers on Facebook isn't working, they call on hardened young men and women who will get the job done no matter what. We don't call TikTokers, Instagram influencers, social media warriors, they call us. Don't ever forget that. Hold your head a little higher today and just know, without veterans, this world would look a lot different. It is because of our veterans that I will always have faith and belief in this country. I sincerely cannot thank you enough for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you all for your service, and I'm so proud to be counted amongst you. Stay safe and God bless.